All right, so we will go to April 22nd of 1996, and we will start off with Nitro. And of course, Pepe's outfit of the week is he is wearing an outfit with some googly eyes.
Very nice.
But to introduce us to the show, Bischoff says that all titles will be on the line tonight in the main event. But the first match for Nitro is we have Public Enemy versus the American Males. And Bischoff gets a shot in at the WWF. He spoils the results for Raw. So I won't get into it of what the result is, but he does call Goldust a transvestite.
Yeah.
Bischoff also mentions that Pillman was in a bad car accident and he wishes him well. And Pillman did get in a really bad car accident. So,
isn't that why he's still hurt by the time he gets to WWF? I think it was a car accident.
Yes, it is.
And honestly, it really started like the downtrend on his life, honestly, because I think he got severely addicted to stuff around that time. Or maybe he was before, but I think it really got bad around this time.
Well, the finish for this is Public Enemy gets disqualified after throwing Riggs over the top rope. And he then put Riggs through the table. And not really a match that anyone's going to remember. Not much to say there.
It was just basically to establish that Public Enemy aren't out to win matches. They just want to beat people up and stuff. So
after this match, we get Mean Gene at the ramp, and he's talking about Slamboree, and he's here to do the first drawing. Slamboree is when they have random tag teams. And they announced some tag teams. I won't go over all of them. The ones of note is that the Macho Man and Ric Flair were randomly drawn to be in the same team. It's crazy how that worked out.
Yeah, it's always funny how that works.
But so we'll go to Raw, and Raw starts off right away with the Intercontinental title rematch between Goldust and Savio Vega. And of course, if you don't remember last week, Savio Vega hit Goldust with the title and he won the match, but Gorilla Monsoon said no, that will not stand. We'll have a rematch next week. So here we are. And they kind of have a similar match as they do last week, where Goldust is kind of rubbing up on him, doing the Goldust stuff. And during this match, we do get a pre-recorded Ultimate Warrior video where he says his heart is already taken by those who have always believed. And the Intercontinental title isn't what he came for. He came to bust open a hole in your house, and they will be squealing, and Goldust will be the biggest squealer of them all.
I think he thought that sounded better in his head.
I don't think it's saying anything that hurts Goldust's feelings.
No.
But also during this match, to further the Savio Vega Stone Cold feud, Stone Cold comes out and he watches the match from the aisle. I'll just get to the finish here. Marlena gets on the apron, and Vega has Goldust pinned for a 3 while Marlena's distracting. So Vega was about to win the match, but Stone Cold comes up and hits Vega on the head with the $1 Million Championship, and then Goldust gets the pin for the win. And he is now, again, the Intercontinental Champion. So he is technically 2-time Intercontinental Champion at this point.
Yeah. And like we said for the last show, we just don't understand why they had to vacate. I think they should have just given Savio Vega like a 1-week title reign and then just have a rematch.
Yeah, I mean, just give the Vega a week reign.
And it would help your marketing, because when you mention Vega, you could say former Intercontinental Champion Savio Vega.
Exactly. But they did, a fair job of trying to continue the two feuds they got going on between the participants, with Goldust versus Ultimate Warrior and Vega versus Stone Cold. I don't really care about the feuds, to be honest, but at least they're trying.
Yeah, they're trying. I mean, WWF at this point, early 96, they're just struggling, especially after WrestleMania, because Brett's on the extended break. Obviously, Diesel and Razor are gone. It's just they are struggling.
So yeah, we getting through the bad WCW parts, but we're not done with the bad WWF parts. But the next match for WCW is Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero. But this is always a good match between them two. I hate to say the same stuff because we've talked about a few matches between them, and generally they're pretty similar, but they always are fun.
The last one, Eddie Guerrero won. So this one, Chris Benoit wins when he reverses. Guerrero tries to sunset flip Benoit, but he reverses it, sits down on it, and then he holds the rope for leverage to get the 3 count.
Dadgummit, the ref missed it.
Yeah, we're all human, man.
After that, we have a ramp interview with Rob Gardner, and in case you don't know who that is a WCW Championship Committee member.
I always love it when they brought up the committee and stuff. I'm like, fans don't care about like a committee. This is why I prefer just having a general manager.
But anyways, Gene is talking with this Rob Gardner fella, and then Macho Man makes his way down. Rob Gardner tells Macho Man that they are concerned with his actions in and out of the ring, and while they understand his situation with Ric Flair, they will not allow his behavior and actions to continue, and he must cease those actions or the ramifications on his career will be severe. Macho Man doesn't really like hearing all that, and he says that the WCW suits are getting a little too comfortable around him. He tells his tag team partner at Slamboree, Ric Flair, that he will be the tag team partner from hell.
Savage also threatened to hit Garner.
Yeah, at the end, Mean Gene's like, get him out of here, get him out of here.
I'm out of here.
But Macho Man also says he will be real creative when he does what he wants to do to Flair, and no one can stop him. And he says he isn't going to beat City Hall. He's going to blow it up. Careful, Macho Man. You might get arrested these days if you threaten that.
Can't say that nowadays.
Then Rob Gardner tells Macho Man that if he can't get control of himself, he needs to seek professional help. And then Savage just calls Mr. Gardner here a stupid person. Then he asks him if he knows what an open hand slap looks like. And then Mean Gene apologizes to Rob Gardner and says, get out of here, Savage. Mean Gene didn't like to put up with nothing.
Nope.
So I like that interview. When they first set that up, I didn't think I was going to like it, but when Macho Man came out, I was like, all right, we got something here. All right, so then on Raw side, we have Vader with Jim Cornette versus Fatu. And of course, we recap the Vader attack on Gorilla Monsoon and Yokozuna. Vader does a clothesline to Fatu, and then Fatu, as he always does, especially as Rikishi, he does his typical flip clothesline sell for it.
Him and Billy Gunn, every time these guys get clothesline, they got to flip.
And for Rikishi, I mean, it does work because it did add a lot of effect to see him do it. But for the finish, this was a short match. Vader hits a top rope moonsault for the win. He doesn't do his typical Vader bomb. He does the top rope version. But let's see. Let's go to the third match for Nitro. This is Ming versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And Bischoff gets the second shot in at the WWF. He calls it the World Whining Federation. And he goes after Goldust again. He calls him a RuPaul gimmick. And to be honest, I didn't know RuPaul was a thing back then.
I don't know too much about RuPaul, but yeah, it was kind of surprising to hear his name all the way back then too.
But this match, the announcers spent the majority of time talking about Hulk Hogan and hyping Hulk Hogan up and talking about how dominant he was last week. So they don't really care about this match. But the finish sees Ming send Hacksaw to the outside. Hacksaw takes this opportunity to tape up his hand, and then he gets back in the ring, punches Ming for the win. Typical match for Hacksaw at this point. It always seems to revolve around the high spot of him taping his fist, which I don't like in the first place.
Yeah, no, I don't like the whole tape fisting. It's blatant DQ in front of the ref and they never call it.
But that's that. Not really a match that furthered any storylines. This was just a match to kill some time on TV. And same as this one, for the third match on Raw side, we have the Godwins with Hillbilly Jim versus some jobber team. I didn't even get their name. Did you?
Yeah, Tajiri and Tim Patterson.
Yeah, this is our first time ever seeing Tajiri, and it surprised me because I didn't know he was in the WWF in 1996.
I mean, this might be his only match.
Before this match, though, we do have a pre-recorded video of the Body Donnas with Sonny, where Sonny says that the Body Donnas are going to give the Godwins a taste of their own medicine.
There's nothing really memorable about the match.
Sonny does come out during the match. She taunts the Godwins with the tag titles before Hillbilly Jim chases Sonny away with the dog that he has. But Henry Godwin hits the slop drop for the win, and after the match, the Body Donnas come out and attack the Godwins.
And then they put slop on Phineas, then run away when Henry Godwin recovers. The WWF's Tag Division 96 has probably got to be one of the weakest tag divisions I've ever seen. And that's saying a lot because WWE Tag Division in the early 2010s, like the Usos, who were like only a year in, were the most experienced tag team. Well, that was pretty bad too.
Yeah, well, I think we mentioned it before. There's really only 3 tag teams in the WWF that vying for this title right now. It would be the Godwins, the Smoking Guns, and the Body Donnas. That's it. We do add some tag teams later in 1996, but still. But that is pretty much it for that segment. And we'll go to the main events for both shows. So again, the main event for Nitro is Ric Flair with Woman and Miss Elizabeth and the Giant versus Sting and Lex Luger.
The fact that they mentioned that all titles are on the line, and you're looking at this match, there's no way Sting and Luger are going to lose the tag belts to Ric Flair and the Giant. And there's no way you think Sting and Luger are going to beat the Giant to get his belt. So it's like you have a feeling some WCW book is going to happen.
During this, we continuing the Mongo Ric Flair deal. Ooh, so Ric Flair goes up to Deborah once again and kisses her on the hand. But Macho Man runs out to go after Flair, but the cops stop Macho Man from getting Flair and they arrest him. So we do not get to see that. But while Macho Man is getting arrested, Flair wants to get some shots in. So he stomps on Macho Man while he is getting arrested.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, I did like this. After he dealt with the whole Macho Man thing, he does go back to Deborah again to flirt with her a little bit more.
He's got to do what he's got to do. But it's kind of similar to the last time Flair and the Giant teamed up. Eventually, they get at odds with each other, and Flair has to beg off the Giant. There's a spot near the end, because we won't go through too much blow, at least for this particular match. They do the coffee thing again. I think Woman gives Ric Flair some coffee, and then Flair accidentally tosses it into the Giant's face.
Yeah, but Flair is intending to hit Sting with the coffee.
Yeah.
But he ducks it, and the ref calls it a DQ. The Giant is just furious at Flair. And Flair comes back in the ring with a towel as he's begging for forgiveness for the Giant, trying to clean the Giant off, don't want him too mad. So while we're dealing with this tension, Mean Gene comes into the ring, and we have an interview with Giant and Ric Flair. Giant says the coffee burned, but it lit a fire in his soul. And he tells Ric Flair next week the title is his. But the Ric Flair gets his turn on mic, and he says he tried to apologize to the Giant, but the Giant didn't accept it. And then now Flair is mad, and he says if the Giant doesn't apologize, he will kick his big ass.
So funny. Flair is such a shit talker.
Unhinged Flair is the best. I don't like the calm and collected Flair. I want crazy Flair. Mm-hmm. But the Giant is not intimidated by Flair, so he chases Flair away to end the show. All right, so let's go to the main event of Raw. We have Aldo Montoya versus Mankind.
This is what they put for the main event show. So this is, you can tell that this show was probably taped, because there's no way Vince McMahon would book a live show and it was like, man, my main event, Aldo Montoya and Mankind.
Just listen to this on paper. I'm going to tell you the main events, okay? We have Aldo Montoya versus Mankind against Ric Flair and the Giant versus Sting and Lex Luger. I think I'm changing the channel to Nitro.
Yeah, let's see. Let's check their ratings. Yeah, you would think so, but Nitro does not win this week.
Wow.
Might as well go over it now. For 422, Raw won 3.3 to 2.7.
Wow, why didn't Raw get so high? Let's go to this match real quick. Mankind wins with the mandible claw, and they're really trying to sell the mandible claw, so Aldo Montoya gets a lot of the spit going, and
that's what gross. Yeah.
After this match, we go to a video of Diesel in Germany, where he says he's going to teach Shawn Michaels a lesson, and it will be the final chapter of his career. Diesel says he does not care about the championship anymore because of how the WWF tried to make him something he wasn't. And now that he is who he's supposed to be, which is the bad guy, he tells Shawn that he is the leader of the new generation. He is a genetic wonder, and Shawn Michaels, in comparison, is a dime a dozen, and in your house, anything can happen. He ends it by telling Vince that after he is done with Shawn, he has something for him. Yeah. That is that for the show this week. I think when you look at the main event, it's clear who the winner is.
Yeah.
Ratings be damned. Nitro wins yet another one.
Nitro. Yeah, easy Nitro.
Yeah, really, there's nothing totally noteworthy that happens on this show. Really. I mean, you do get an Intercontinental Champion match with Goldust, but even that's not the most memorable thing.
I feel sorry for the fans that had to sit probably 3 tapings, and this was one of them. So.
My thing with the tapings is Vince, with the taping, you can make the matches be in whatever order you want. Why can't you just put the good matches last? I don't understand. But whatever. But yeah, Nitro wins another one. But let's go ahead and go to April 28th of 1996. We are going to be doing In Your House, and this one has a title. It is Good Friends, Better Enemies. And the first match is British Bulldog and Owen Hart with Jim Cornette and Clarence Mason versus Jake the Snake Roberts and Ahmed Johnson. We see Clarence Mason hand the referee a piece of paper, and we don't know what it is yet, but Jake the Snake, he's in the back, and he says he doesn't go anywhere blind, and he has something with him, and he's bringing it out now. Spoiler alert, it's the Snake Revelations, as if you didn't know that already. But Jake the Snake comes to the ring with the snake bag and everything, and we learn that the paper Clarence Mason handed the ref was a paper that stated Jake couldn't bring his snake to the ring with him. Jake the Snake then takes the paper and rips it up, and then he charges after Camp Cornette with the snake until Jim Cornette faints.
He faints. That was hilarious.
So Jake the Snake takes the snake backstage, but Cornette, when he finally wakes up, he yells that the snake was 35 feet long and it was slimy and it spit at him. So he's like, that snake was 35 feet long.
It's like King of the Ring, where every single time Owen Hart on commentary would bring up Jake Roberts, he would be older. He's like, he's a 51-year-old, and he's like 60, 80. Every single time he'd bump up the year. It's so funny.
But we get started with the match after all that. Ahmed Johnson and Bulldog start the match in the ring, but Bulldog tags out so he doesn't have to face Ahmed. He looks like he's a little intimidated. But Bulldog eventually does get involved in the match, but he doesn't last long. He tags Owen Hart right back quickly, acting like his arm is hurt. He's like, I can't do it, man, my arm.
Maybe he hurt it working out, you know?
Could have. But the finish to this match saw the British Bulldog attack Jake's leg with Jim Cornette's racket. And then Bulldog does, like, I guess it could be called a single leg Boston Crab or something like that, but it doesn't look like it hurts. It's a pretty weak finish. I was kind of surprised that was the finish. But I did like they put British Bulldog and Owen Hart winning.
I'm glad they did, because Owen Hart was taking a lot of losses.
And Bulldog, I was entertained and amused by Bulldog's antics throughout the match. But this next match, if you want to call it a match, is Goldust with Marlena and a bodyguard versus
the Ultimate Warrior. You gotta do it like Vince calls it.
But their match here is for the Intercontinental title. Goldust is seen limping as it comes out. And we do see a video of earlier in the day where Marlena is seen walking up to the Ultimate Warrior and she blows smoke in his face. Goldust also blows glitter in the Warrior's face, and then the Warrior just kind of like beats his chest and growls at them. It was kind of weird.
That's just such a Warrior thing to do.
Pulling a cigar, smoking, then Goldust.
It's just bad. This is bad. But Goldust doesn't want to go to the ring, and he is heard saying he has a hurt leg, which he did legitimately have an injury. This isn't something they made up. Goldust did have an injury coming into this match. I looked it up.
Even if he wasn't injured, how good of a match are you going to get out of the Warrior?
Right. But for this, like, the Warrior comes down to the ring. He chases off Goldust and his crew, and he picks up the cigar Marlena was smoking, and he starts taking some puffs out of it. He goes to get Marlena's director chair and Goldust's robe. He puts those on. He even puts on Goldust's wig. They cut the Goldust, and you can hear him saying that this is too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
I think it's funny that Goldust is telling someone else that it's too much.
It's too much. This is another time Goldust gets on the mic and tells the crowd he's going to kiss every single one.
No, there's another weird part to this where Warrior starts to wave Goldust's robe around like he's a matador, and Vince yells, no, he goes, El Toro, ha-ha!
El Toro, ha ha!
The way he says it, I was like, Vince, what are you doing?
You gotta put that clip in it. Wow.
But anyways, we do this whole stalling thing. This actually takes a long time to get through this thing. But Goldust eventually makes his way back to the ring, and Ultimate Warrior is such a gentleman. He lets Goldust sit in the director's chair. Goldust then wants Warrior to kiss his hand, and Warrior instead burns Goldust's hand with a cigar and clotheslines Goldust out of the chair, and this causes Goldust and his crew to leave the match for good. Besides the bodyguard, Warrior does get his hands on the bodyguard. He clotheslines him, does his shoulder tackle, then he rips the bodyguard's jacket off and his shirt off. I don't know why he would do all that. He scoop slammed him, and then the bodyguard leaves as well. And the bodyguard was the same guy as Mantar, who just recently passed away, so rest in peace. But this match was a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
The official decision is Ultimate Warrior by count out, but the bell really never even rang, so it never really started. After this match, we see Bulldog yelling at some WWF officials because something happened between Shawn Michaels and Bulldog's wife. And he wants to get to Shawn's locker room, but he's prevented from getting there. So we're setting something up. We'll see where that's going here a little bit later. But the next match is Vader with Jim Cornette versus Razor Ramon. And this is the first time we've seen Razor since he got suspended. At one point, Razor goes for the Razor's Edge, but he can't get it, collapses because Vader's just too heavy. At one point, Vader does hit the Vader bomb, but Razor kicks out at 2. I was kind of surprised to see Razor kick out.
I was also surprised to see it because I was assuming this is Razor's last match, which I think it is in WWF, and I assume Vince would want Vader's finish to look strong, but.
And I was also surprised that Razor Ramon hit a pretty good-looking suplex on Vader. I didn't think he could suplex Vader that well.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And at one point, Vader tries to hit a mid-rope splash, and Razor Ramon reverses it into like a catch power slam. I thought that move looked pretty good. And also, at one point, Razor Ramon gets Vader up in an electric chair and then does the electric chair drop. And I was just impressed that he got Vader up there. After the electric chair drop, Razor then signals for the Razor's Edge. So he tries to do the Razor's Edge, but Vader reverses it and hits like it's like the over-Kishi thing where he slams his butt on you and just sits there for the win. I don't know if that move has a name.
I wish he had done like the Vader bomb again or something.
I actually liked this match. I thought it was a pretty decent match between them.
It was fine.
I was happy that Vader won clean, pretty much. But after this, we do get an in-ring interview with Vader and Jim Cornette. Doc Hendricks tells Vader that at the next In Your House, Vader will face Yokozuna. And then this causes Vader and Jim Cornette to go crazy. And Jim Cornette shouts that Yokozuna stepped into the danger zone, and this time it won't be just his leg, it'll be his whole body. We cut to Undertaker and Paul Bearer at a WWF American Online chat, and I think it's just funny to
It's funny to see
the Undertaker computer.
Yeah. Next match is something that you don't want to see. It's the Body Donnas versus Godwins for the tag titles. The Body Donnas are the tag champs. One thing that Jerry Lawler says during the beginning of this match, he said Phineas can't even get a date on a tombstone. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I didn't write that down. Usually I catch the good ones they got. At one point, Phineas does his stupid bucking thing when he starts having a hot moment in the match. I hate that. The Godwins had the advantage in the match. Sunny runs to the back, and then she comes back to the arena with a picture of herself to give to Phineas, who had tagged out. Phineas grabbed the picture, and he walks towards Sunny because it looks like he believes Sunny is smitten with him. Henry Godwin, meanwhile, hits the slop drop on Skip, but the ref is distracted by the Sunny and Phineas situation on the outside. Zip comes in and switches places with Skip and gets the pin on Henry Godwin. Henry Godwin is upset with Phineas, and he takes the Sunny picture and he puts it in the slop. But Phineas takes it out, as it looks like he still has feelings for her. So that is that whole deal.
I mean, I can't blame him for being smitten with Sunny.
No, I can't blame him either. And yeah, you're not really going to get anyone invested into seeing this match for the wrestling part of it, so you might as well try to have some storyline with it.
It's just the Body Donnas, like, who cares about the Body Donnas?
Or who cares about the Godwins? I will give Henry Godwin credit. A lot of the matches I see him wrestle against some of the bigger guys, Henry Godwin is freaking strong.
Yeah, no, he's strong. He's solid.
So yeah, I don't mind Henry Godwin. He's like the only thing I'm like.
Well, I don't mind Phineas when he's Midian.
So we're ready for the next thing. Yeah, not much. Whatever. The Body Donnas are still tag team champions. And now we go to a backstage interview with Mark Mero. Mero says that Triple H stuck his silver spoon where it doesn't belong, and when he messed with Sable, he unleashed a fury that is going to destroy him. And Triple H will have to answer the call of the wild. Yeah, he's doing like a scratchy voice. I hate it. It's very hard to understand him too. After this, we're going on to the main event. So we have a pre-recorded video from each of the participants. We'll start with Shawn Michaels. He says Diesel was his friend, but not anymore, and their friendship has reached the end of the road, and he promised to Click that there will be a party tonight. Diesel asks Vince if he is going to be there tonight and says he has something for him, and when it's live, that is when he is digging it the most, which I was like, okay.
Yeah, he said that quite a bit, that when he's like, it's live, I dig it, or something like that.
But see, that's the second time he's mentioned the Vince thing, so I'm trying to remember what he did to Vince.
I don't think anything happened. Isn't he done after this match?
Yes, this is the end of Razor and Diesel. They both leave same day.
So yeah, nothing happens unless something happened this match.
The next match is, of course, main event, WWF title match, Diesel versus Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario. Diesel comes out and he throws his leather vest onto Vince, like he throws it at him. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
I hope that's not it.
We also see Mad Dog for Shawn. Maybe I mentioned that for a reason. We'll see.
Yeah.
But Shawn Michaels comes out. He's a man on a mission. He takes it to Diesel without even taking off his little like vest and chaps, what do you want to call it? Just showing he really wants to get after Diesel. Shawn Michaels clotheslined Diesel outside of the ring, and then he backflipped the Diesel to the outside as well. He then grabs the Spanish announcer's boot and he hits Diesel with it. Which I think it's funny they did hit someone with a boot or a shoe after they made fun of WCW for doing it with women's shoes.
Oh, this is different. This is a cowboy boot.
A steel-toe boot.
Yeah.
Diesel then takes control of the match shortly thereafter, and this brings out Shawn Michaels' chance, and Diesel tells the crowd, and you do hear it on there, he tells the crowd to shut the
shut the fuck. It's so funny.
Diesel also taunts Jose Lothario by telling him this is how we do it in the 90s.
This is how we do it in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Diesel starts to take off his wrist tape while the ref is checking on Shawn Michaels, and Diesel uses the tape to choke the ref out, and then he takes the ref's belt off and he hits Shawn Michaels with it. I was like, he just choked the ref out. I thought he was going to choke Shawn with it. But Diesel then wraps the belt around Shawn Michaels' neck and he chokes him with it. And then he even tosses Shawn Michaels over the rope with him and essentially hangs him.
Man, see, this is why I always wonder what happened to the kept Diesel, because Diesel was showing some fire because he was like, oh, I'm not a corporate puppet anymore. So I think he was pretty much acting like Kevin Nash.
Yeah, this Diesel was fantastic.
But you barely got to see this Diesel. It's basically just the time that we've been watching.
Really, yeah. What'd you think of the hang spot there? I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, great.
Diesel then ties that belt around a rope and he grabs a chair and hits Shawn with it because Shawn can't get anywhere. And then the ref eventually wakes up, gets the belt off of Shawn Michaels, and Diesel again hits Shawn Michaels with the chair. Diesel goes for another swing, but Shawn moves out of the way, which causes Diesel to hit the chair with the ropes, and then it comes back and
ricochets.
The old Kurt Angle deal.
No Kurt Angle, Rock.
Who doesn't love that spot?
That was a great spot.
Shawn then grabs the chair and he goes to hit Diesel with it, but Diesel low blows him. Diesel then jackknifes Shawn onto the announce table, and then Diesel grabs the WWF title and tells the ref to put it around his waist. Vince can be seen yelling at Shawn Michaels to just let it be over. He's pretty much telling Shawn Michaels to give up, save yourself, but Shawn won't do that, will he, Jacob?
No,
he just
Shawn wants to. He doesn't want to disappoint his clique.
Shawn grabs a fire extinguisher and sprays Diesel with it, and this allows Shawn Michaels to get back on the offensive. He grabs a chair and hits Diesel twice with it, the second time being a headshot. The offense is short-lived, though. Diesel gets a big boot on Shawn, and then he signals for another jackknife. But when Diesel gets Shawn Michaels up to the top part of it, Shawn Michaels, he gets out of it, he punches Diesel, he knocks him down, hits the elbow drop, and then he signals for the Sweet Chin music, which has Vince yelling.
Vince is very excited.
He's like, give it to him, Shawn! Give it to him!
But Diesel shuts that down once again. He hits him with the clothesline, and then he gets him out the ring.
What does he do outside that ring?
Well, first of all, he drops Shawn on the barricade, which, is going to incapacitate the man. But he does it right near Mad Dog Maurice for Shawn, and Diesel realizes, or I guess he knew beforehand, that Mad Dog is actually missing a leg now. He has prosthetic legs, so Diesel says, hey, I want to use that as a weapon, and he takes it, takes his leg off.
He goes to hit Shawn Michaels with it. He doesn't hit him with it.
Yeah, and then he gets low blowed himself.
Shawn then, after low blowing Diesel, he grabs the fake leg and he does like a batter up stance thing deal, and he hits Diesel with the leg, and then he hits the Sweet Chin music on Diesel for the win. This match, I think, of our watch so far, I think this is my favorite match that we've watched up to this point.
For WWF, because I like it better than the Iron Man because it's just too long.
If I grade it out of 5, this is 4.5. I will come back to rewatch this match.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it 5 just because it kind of does get kind of carried away near the end. But it's still a good ending. I don't know. It's just not a 5. But yeah, 4. I got 4 and a quarter. I bet this is probably one of the better matches for WWF in '96.
Probably, yeah. This match was an absolute blast. I think this might even be the best match Diesel/Kevin Nash ever had.
You're probably right. He also had a great match against Bret Hart. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do like that, but I like this one better. How would you grade this pay-per-view?
That's really good. Really good. At this moment in time, WWF was putting on the better pay-per-views.
Yeah, because with this, we have 5 matches. I enjoyed 3 of them. 2 of them, what the Goldust Ultimate Warrior. Then
Body Donnas, who cares?
Yep. But the other 3 I enjoyed.
The main event obviously carries a lot of weight, and it was.
So good job there. All right, so let's go into our last head-to-head of April. It is April 29th of 1996. Pepe's outfit of the week. He looks like he's dressed like Macho Man. Our first match for Nitro is Harlem Heat versus Sting and Lex Luger. This is a tag team title match.
Sting, I will say, Sting has a very nice goose slam with Booker T.
Booker T hits a pretty good-looking Harlem sidekick on Sting.
The crowd was not liking Harlem Heat during this match because they are loving them some Luger and Sting.
Yes, they are. Harlem Heat hit a tag team move on Luger. I don't remember if it has a name. But as they go for the pin, Jimmy Hart runs out and he throws the towel. And this is something that he apparently did on the Saturday show as well. So Jimmy Hart throws in a towel. Harlem Heat rough up Jimmy Hart. The ref doesn't call for that. We are not throwing in the towel. And then Sting pins Booker T while he is distracted and gets the win. And Luger is celebrating joyously. For Raw's side, we start off with a video of something that happened after last night's In Your House pay-per-view. So after the Diesel match, we see footage of Bulldog coming out yelling at Gorilla Monsoon, calling Shawn Michaels a pervert who wants to sleep with his wife, and he isn't waiting until May 26th to face Shawn. So he attempted to go after Shawn Michaels yesterday while he was celebrating his win over Diesel, but he doesn't make it there. He gets separated, so he didn't get his revenge.
Vince thought a good idea for his babyface chant was to get accused of being a pervert.
Yeah, but that's why Bulldog was yelling at Shawn Michaels from yesterday's pay-per-view, because we didn't get to see what happened, but that's what happened. But the first match for tonight is Bart Gunn versus Mankind. And Mankind is bleeding around his eye. I'm not quite sure what happened there. I heard a couple people during this match yell boring, and yeah, I guess it wasn't the greatest match. Then Mankind's only been here a short time, like really short. So some of the crowd who is not familiar with him doesn't know what to think of him yet. Mankind wins with the mandible claw, and like we mentioned before, after his matches, they play that piano song to calm him down, because otherwise he'd go crazy.
After the match, they have Jim Ross come in and interview Bart Gunn, just so they can ask him what it feels like to be in the mandible claw. And he sells that as if it's like a paralyzing move, which they sold it as like a nerve hold. So he said he couldn't move. And then Mankind comes back and he gives him the mandible claw again. I'm like, geez, what a savage.
I thought that was funny too. I was like, hey, he's coming back.
Oh yeah, you talking about my mandible claw? Eat it again.
But WWF is going to do multiple of these, asking wrestlers how does a mandible claw feel, because they are trying to sell to you that this move would hurt. Because if they didn't, it aesthetically it does not look painful. Like it's like, okay, he has his hand in his mouth. How's that going to be a 3 count or end of a match kind of deal? So they're trying to tell you why it's a bad move to be in. To be fair, it would not feel comfortable to have someone do it.
I was really glad when Bray Wyatt brought it back. Rest in peace, Bray. Yeah, but I mean, I like it though, because they're selling the mandible claw as like this dangerous move, that can just put you down.
But for Nitro, we'll go to a Big E special over here, which means slapping meat match here. We got Fire and Ice, which is Scott Norton and Ice Train versus the Steiner Brothers. Let me put it this way: all these men in the ring, they're some strong men.
Men who are very comfortable throwing around other men, which is that's all this is. Just they're all tossing each other around.
I did know a move. Ice Train hit Scott Steiner with a beauty of a big boot. This match I would watch again just because you get some stiff shots in here. Some of these are, let me put it that way, they don't pull away, they are hitting you with full force. But the finish is kind of weak, though. It is Rick Steiner hitting a clothesline on Ice Train for the win.
I always love it. They always go like, Steiner liner. They always freak out. It's nice.
For my thoughts on this, I mean, Fire Ice, I'm not going to spoil what happens with them, but I liked them. I thought they had a lot of potential. I'll just say that. But after this, we do get a ramp interview with Ric Flair. Flair isn't his usual self at this time. He looks like he's having some reservations about facing the Giant later. But Flair, he gets back to it. He tells everyone that when he is in your attendance, you must stand up in attention. Flair tells Gene to look at Woman and ask her if Ric Flair is scared of the Giant. And if that doesn't convince him, then he can ask Miss Elizabeth if he is worried about the Giant. Woman tells Mean Gene that the Giant is a small man compared to the Champ. And Elizabeth says that Flair is not scared of the Giant. I like this promo. I thought it was funny.
Good. I liked it. It kind of got me excited for the main event, too.
And before we go over back to Raw, I do want to mention we get our first Glacier teaser. Sweet.
Glacier.
The Glacier vignettes kind of take on a Veer kind of, maybe if you remember the Veer stuff, when they kept doing it every week. They do it here, too.
But the whole Glacier thing is just off. Because it's obviously a Sub-Zero ripoff, but Mortal Kombat was like 1992, so they waited way too long to start a Mortal Kombat gimmick.
Well, nothing like striking while the iron's hot, Jacob.
Yeah, so they are a few years late to start this gimmick. Next on WWF side, we get Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Scott Taylor. Scott Taylor, of course, will eventually be Scotty 2 Hotty.
Which is crazy. And he looks like, I mean, you can see it a little bit, but like, it's not the most obvious connection, But with this, we see Savio Vega holding a rope of some sort. He challenges Stone Cold to a Caribbean strap match.
And they say he's famous for that match, and he actually was. I don't think it was called Caribbean strap match. I think it was just strap matches, But yeah, he was known for that.
But we then see a recap of Savio Vega getting hit by the $1 Million Belt. And Stone Cold then does like a Cesaro swing kind of thing. I counted 7.5 rotations. So, I don't know what your number was.
The fans today would count like 20 rotations, you know.
Oh, sure. They count every half rotation. Drives me nuts. Vega tells Stone Cold he was going to whip him tonight. And then King calls Vega burrito breath. I don't think you could do that today. But Stone Cold wins the match with the $1 Million Dream. After the match, Vega gets on the mic and challenges Stone Cold formally to the Caribbean strap match. And he asks Austin if he accepts. Stone Cold motions that he is not going to accept that. Stone Cold leaves. Vega whips Stone Cold in the back. So we'll see if that convinces him to accept. After that, we get an in-ring interview with the British Bulldog, and also his wife Diana and Jim Cornette. So we're trying to find out what the accusation is here between Diana and Shawn Michaels. Vince is in the ring, and he tells the heels that Shawn Michaels is going to be coming out. They don't like that, but Shawn Michaels comes out, and Vince has to blow Shawn Michaels a little bit. So he says it doesn't matter the style. Shawn is rising to the occasion. And then Shawn gets on the mic. He says that people said his style wouldn't last 60 minutes against Bret Hart, but he adapted his style to Bret Hart, and he did the same to Diesel. He says he took an ass kicking, but he gave one right back. And I noted that Vince got a big smile after he said that. I mean, he's gushing.
He is absolutely gushing.
Shawn then says, whether you want to dance, waltz, jitterbug, or twist, the Heartbreak Kid can adapt to any style, and he and his clique are ready for the best the WWF has to offer. I was kind of surprised he started off by doing this kind of deal, because you would think he'd want to get to the bottom of this accusation first before gloating.
Yeah. That's what I thought too.
Jim Cornette is on the mic. He said, let's get down to business. And what he wants to talk about is what Shawn did. And he calls Shawn a stinking pervert. And he says he tried to sleep with Bulldog's wife. He says that last night during Bulldog's match, Diana had gotten a message from a production assistant that Cornette was hurt and she needed her. So she went back there, but what did she find? It was Shawn Michaels waiting, and he put his arm around her and he tried to proposition her. Cornette says he wants to know what kind of animal would be cozying up to another man's wife. He says Diana's not a Jezebel or a Scarlet Woman, and he calls Michaels a sleaze bag. And then he tells Diana to come forward so Shawn could face his accuser. Diana says, Shawn, I know you want me. But Shawn tells Diana, with all due respect, please do not flatter yourself. Yeah. Then Diana slaps Shawn Michaels. Shawn then says that he guesses he knows now which one wears the pants in the Smith family. And then Bulldog and Shawn exchange blows as we go to commercial break.
That was a good segment again, but I like the segment, but I just don't understand why Vince thought it was a good idea to have his champion even remotely be accused of anything sexual, because now you're going to have like fans, especially female ones, like, did he do it? I don't know.
Maybe back then people took the position of like, yeah, right, you know?
Yeah. Well, Vince does that too. Well, Vince blatantly says, oh, there's no way it's true. But I'm like, but you're going to have some fans who are going to be like, but maybe the Bulldog's right. You know, I just don't think it's good. Like you don't want anything like that attached to your babyface champion. That's just basically what I'm getting at. But I did like the segment.
Yeah, I do agree. The segment did a good job of getting you kind of excited for the match, because I was kind of lukewarm on that deal. But I do think this kind of helped.
It instantly gave you a reason to care about the feud, because, again, story is king. I wish Tony Khan would realize that, because then AEW might actually be watchable.
The third match for Nitro is Steven Regal versus the Belfast Bruiser in a parking lot brawl. This is the famous match that they've had together. If anyone's seen any video of the or Monday Night Wars recap that WWF did,
this match is on the DVD, if I'm not mistaken.
This is a memorable moment throughout their history of WCW, so I was kind of excited to see it. This match just pretty much goes exactly like you think it would.
It's just they slam each other in cars a lot. They're breaking a bunch of glass, obviously. Hopefully it's candy glass, because they're not morons. Like, again, Jungle Boy wanted to use real glass.
These fellas beat each other up.
Yeah, that's basically all it is. There's not too much play-by-play that you should care about, but it's really worth watching. But anywho, Regal does end up winning because he pile drives the Bruiser on the car and pins him.
Yeah. So Steven Regal wins.
It was nice. It was different. But on the WWF side, we have rockers.
Goblins come out. Each of them have a pig with them. That was different. Oh, we also go to a video of Sonny And she says the Godwins smell really bad, but she can get them under control. New Rockers are dumb and dumber, and they are so stupid that they could be dangerous. So she may need to take a closer look to this match because Vince asked her, which one of these two teams would you rather face? So that's why she's going to be involved here. So Sunny comes out, and after a commercial, we go to Sunny. She's in front of the camera, and she says, "Nice pair, huh?" And then she says, "I'm talking about the tag titles," because she's holding the tag titles. I'm like, okay,
That's fine.
okay. The match ends in a double count out because both of the teams just start fighting each other on the outside. Didn't really care for this.
No. Okay, so it's Mark J, Leaf Cassidy versus Godwins, and yet no one won.
We have a backstage interview after that with Mankind. Jim Ross is backstage in a dark stairway somewhere where Mankind is in the corner. And Jim Ross asks Mankind, what are the principles of the Mandible Claw? Mankind says he can show Jim Ross, but then he explains that he searched for a weapon he could use, and he found that the nerves under the tongue could debilitate a man if enough pressure was applied. And he says he was surprised how easy it was to do that to the Undertaker. And he tells the Undertaker to show some courage, you gutless ghoul, or he will destroy him. He is becoming bored by his weakness.
So he was talking about the Mandible Claw. He says temporary paralysis comes from the body, and the only hope is mankind's love for humanity, and he has none.
I thought this was a fantastic promo for Mankind. This was phenomenal work here.
Let's do the main event of Raw, because their main event is awful. So WWF's main event is The Ultimate Warrior versus Isaac Yankem. This has got to be another tape show because there's no way Vince. I hope there's no way Vince actually put the live show and this was main event. This was a squash match though, so there's really nothing to even say. Jerry King Lawler comes out for a point, acts like he wants to hurt the Warrior, but then he keeps saying he has enough slack in his headset, so it's so funny. He's like, give me some slack, I don't have enough slack, give me some slack. Obviously they're setting up, they're going to have an eventual match.
With King's fuse, it's always like random. He just starts hating on
Yeah, it's just it's random when he starts feuding with people.
But yet, Warrior wins this match, typical Warrior style. Vince also promotes the Warrior University segment for the upcoming Saturday show. I just say that because Warrior negotiated into his contract that they talk about the Warrior University and make Warrior comic books. But yep, that was the end of the show. My only thought for this is this was a terrible main event yet again. That's two awful main events past 2 weeks.
Well, on the WCW side, we have the Giant versus Ric Flair. Ric Flair is the reigning champion.
This is the second time we're doing Giant versus Ric Flair on the main event for Nitro.
So Flair has had it since February 11th. So he's had it for 71 days, this says.
But for this match, Flair walks down. He sees Deborah. She sits in the same seat every week. It's crazy. He asks Deborah for a kiss on the cheek, but she will not oblige. Deborah does not look happy with Flair. And Mongo on commentary says he's going to throw a trash can at Flair. They're clearly setting up Mongo to eventually be a wrestler. He
says don't mess with a countryman's dog or his wife. Flair better stop or he'll hurt him. And Flair starts the match by trying to chop the Giant, and it has no effect, so he keeps trying. Giant gets like a press slam on Flair, but then Flair pokes Giant in the eyes and chops him in the corner to no effect again.
Flair is so good at selling. Giant hits just a regular old-fashioned suplex, and Flair is acting like he is in total agony.
Yeah, Giant's 7 feet tall, so you're going high up in the air. But eventually Giant goes to a choke slam, but Flair holds onto the ropes, which allows Woman and Elizabeth to distract the ref. Which Jimmy Hart eventually comes out, talks to the ref, and then that allows Flair to punch the Giant with a forearm object from his shorts. I think that's that little white thing they always use. But Flair, he goes for the figure four, but the Giant acted like he was knocked out until he was in the figure four, and then woke him up, which was a mistake for Flair. Mistake for him as the Giant chokes him, and then he gets the choke slam, and that choke slam absolutely destroys Flair, and Flair's done. And Giant pins him. We have a new champ.
There's a new champ.
And the crowd popped pretty loud.
And it sort of was like a big moment, him getting the chokeslam and winning. It was like he beat the brakes off of Flair. I thought it was a good match for what it was.
And the Giants chokeslams at this time.
It just looks so devastating, dude. And then like even wrestlers like Scott Steiner, because he wrestles Scott Steiner, when he gets the hand around his throat, it just looks like Scott Steiner is such a tiny man.
His chokeslam compared to the end of his career, I mean, it's not even close. Yeah. But the Giant wins the title, and he yells at the camera, and he says that the title is his and always has been. Then we have an in-ring interview with the Giant. Jimmy Hart says Flair gets to go home with a woman, but Hart gets to go home with the WCW champion. Pause there, Jimmy.
Right.
Let's calm down.
Giant says he's doing this heart of hearts, that the belt has been his since Halloween Havoc, and that he is champion, whether people like it or not. They announced that Sting is the next opponent, the challenger for the title at Slamboree.
Let me give you the Giant line. You know, he has ever something.
Oh,
here.
yeah. Well,
he tells the other wrestlers to come one, come all. At the hands of the Giant, you doggone are sure gonna fall. We finally get a main event title match, and it ended with a finish.
Yeah.
You know, we ended with like a title change, too.
They established the Giant as it's going to be really tough to beat him.
So this was a good piece of business, as JR likes to say. I'm sure I don't even have to ask, but I, for the record keeping, I will ask Jacob, who won this week?
Rating wise, so obviously we would pick WCW. It would be Raw again, 2.9, and Nitro only 2.1. How did they announce? Because this title match was announced the week before. Coming up next month is In Your House 8, which we're gonna take a while to talk about that one because a lot of stuff happens for that one. Then Slamboree. So yeah, that's coming up for me.
But clearly we're going up because March was the absolute dregs for WCW.
Yeah, this is
so we're
better.
going up for WCW. You can tell we got an upward trajectory here. And really things are just getting better from here because the NWO is only a few months away. All right, but that is April. Thank you all for watching. Of course, next we'll do May. Please let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you're watching as well or have watched. But stay tuned for the next episode. And my name's Max.
I'm Jay.